What's up, YouTube? It's Ben with Underrated Garage.
What's up, guys?
With Kaylee today, we're working on, unfortunately, the VG30 that got rodknocked in the Drift 300ZX. So I'm going to start by taking the exhaust manifolds off and starting to tear down the front here, the belts, the accessories like the power steering pump, the alternator. Okay, first big update here. We've got a lot of stuff laying on the floor. Just got the EGR system off. This side's looking pretty naked too. Some progress, we're starting. Next up, I'll probably take the coolant pipes off, the water pump, and start taking the timing covers off in the front. And we're gonna continue with getting all the extra BS around the manifold off. So I had to use extractors a few times, but it's off, we're getting there. Starting to look like a naked engine. All the timing stuff is removed. I'm gonna take these cam gears off, take these covers behind the cam gears off, get this lower plenum, and then start taking the valve covers off so we can get these heads off the motor. Latest progress update. Cams are off on this head. So I'm about to start pulling these head bolts and try to get this head off and then turn the engine and start working on the other one. As you can see, this engine is gross. The exterior of it obviously is covered in sludge, but even the inside you can see it's not good. And if I ever wanted it to be good or reliable, it would have had to go to a machine shop and, you know, get fully cleaned up and redone and everything. The heads are ready to be pulled. This is a mess of a garage right now of parts and tools everywhere. I'm not a fan of these engines. I don't know if I've probably already said that this video. This is so obnoxious. Cool. So the heads are off this bad boy. We're getting there, almost to the site of the damage. The next step is going to be flipping it over, taking the oil pan off, and once we get access to taking that crank off, we'll see what the extent of the damage from the rodknock is. What we can look at is the amount of metal on the bottom of the pan, so let's see. Yeah, that's there's definitely metal shavings down there. So we got the crank girdle off, and this one I just started touching and just heard a click. So there's the source of our rodknock. So that's gonna be the first one I pull off just to assess the damage, see how scored the crank is. So this is one bearing from that cylinder. And then I've been trying to pry at it, but it's literally fused to the crank. The other bearing was on the same side. So we confirmed spun bearing was wedged and the other one fused itself to the crank, but that is the cause of the rodknock. I'm not sending anything to a machine shop, so I know I'm not using this crank or these rods. I have a whole nother VG30, came out of the ICZ. It was a tired old engine, but that doesn't mean that the rods and crank are scored up. So we're gonna check that out and see if we can Frankenstein one good motor together. So we just got all the pistons and rods out. All the other ones were undamaged aside from the one cylinder that spun a bearing and got rodknock. Got the oil pump off. and the rear main housing on the other side. So I'm gonna try to lift this crank out. There it is. The engine's all disassembled. I don't know where we've been at with the video. Right now it's a bare block pretty much, and I'm putting some new piston rings on here and gonna be throwing some new bearings in so we can assemble this lower end. So working with the piston rings, I got the little spreader tool here that makes it easy. You just slap that on there, it opens it up, and you can take the rings right off. Do that for the top two, and then there's 3 separate little rings in this bottom groove. Obviously this video is not a how-to, but I figure I might as well show you a little bit. Get that second ring off. Once you get it, they're really thin, so they're easy to bend and come off. Take the 2 outers, and then there's that spring looking one in the middle. And then if you're reusing your pistons and rods like I am, you can just clean this up and put your new rings in there. Put that one in first. So you want to go like at least an inch this way with the openings on the next ring. That's because this lower groove on the piston is what keeps the oil that's lubricating everything below it from getting into and burning off in the combustion chamber. You can see all 3 are in that lower groove. So you have a little dimple on the top to show what's up. Take your little tool. Right over, no problem. Right into that top groove. So we've got, they should all be able to move freely like that. All right, guys, as you saw in that clip, she's now like a rotating assembly. It has brand new main bearings, rod bearings, and piston rings in the lower end. So hopefully should be smooth. Obviously no more knock, not burning oil or anything. Should be all good. So we've got that basic setup, oil pump on, rear main seal on. So now it's gonna be time to put the oil pickup tube, the oil pan, oil filter housing. And we've got the basis of the block set up, and we can start bolting on the heads and accessories. This is probably like a few weeks after the last clip. This video is all over the place because this engine is a pain in my ass. The oil pan was installed and sealed along with obviously the oil pump, the rear main seal. Now on the upper end, coolant crossover pipe was put on, knock sensor. So next up is going to be installing the heads. I'm working on them over here. You can see a filthy mess over there where I scraped a lot of RTV and gasket material off. I'm working on cleaning them up. Obviously, I didn't do this right. So for all I know, this engine may be screwed the second I put it together. This is kind of an experiment. I just kind of cleaned up the surface myself. You should be using a machine shop for both the block surface and the head surfaces, of course, but this is kind of just an experiment. Driver's side head went on, new head gasket, and I was torquing the head bolts down. This head bolt here was going good, and then it was not going good anymore. On the final torque, my trusty old Craftsman torque wrench might be out of calibration. It was just going and then all of a sudden got loose, and I could tell it wasn't broken because I've snapped bolts before. It was loose, and then I just pulled the bolt out, and there came all the threads from the block with it. I am not pulling this head back off and attempting to rethread the block. I don't have time in my life right now. I've got multiple other builds, busy with work and life stuff. I think that's it for this drift beater. I was working on it, not doing everything the right way, but I was trying. And my first time, attempting to assemble an engine. But this might have just sealed the deal. It's been weeks since my last clip because I'm struggling to find time to work on this. I think we're calling it a day. I think I might just be taking a loss. But based on the fact that I already didn't have time to work on this thing, and it's already a huge pain in my ass and up in the air if it was even gonna go well because I didn't use a machine shop, I think this is the end of this Black Drift Z. I'm going to have a better drift car in the future, and I'm gonna have multiple other better cars on the channel. After a long time, it's coming to an end. Posting everything up today. It's my first time ever abandoning a project. I've always finished my projects, but this one just wasn't really worth it for me. The end result, I was gonna sell it. Even if I got it running, I was gonna sell it this winter anyway. I have bigger things I wanna do. My race car 370Z, I'm keeping the Icy Shell. That's gonna still be a future project car. I have a Porsche now, and there might be something else coming in the spring, another really fun car. And just winging it, it was not worth it. Don't be like me. Do it the right way or don't do it at all. So here it is. This is your last time seeing this car on the channel. 96 collapsed 300ZX. I put it on some 3000 GT wheels. Subscribe, like the video, drop a comment about my failure on this. I am here for the hate. I deserve it on this project that I have to give up on now. But that's it. See you guys next time. Peace out.